All right, let's get started on the tutorial 10 case problem review. So this is coming up here. This is the Lyman Hall Theater, and we want to show a schedule of the upcoming events over the next 2 weeks. And we already have these arrays for use in the events. If we look at, not the CSS, the list. If we look at this list, let me move this out of the way. These are the dates and the event and the cost. All right, so we have event dates as an array, event descriptions as an array, and event prices as an array. And these are known as parallel arrays, meaning the data in spot 0 of the event date array lines up with the data in spot 0 of the description, which lines up with spot 0 in prices. And then, spot 1 lines up with spot 1, lines up with spot 1. Okay, so that's why they're parallel, because the index of each array has corresponding data. And we don't have to do anything with this, just understand that this exists. All right, and the style and everything's already done. Let's look at the page, and I'm going to pull it up in the browser. Looks great. I'm going to pop it in a new window. So this is it, and now I can get rid of this. All right, there's our HTML page, and I don't know if it even tells us to add our name and everything, but let's do that. Great, let's get started. All right, there it is. Add your name and date to the HTML page and LHT table, lhttable.js. And you'll see that our JavaScript already is using strict. Open the HTML page directly above the closing head tag, insert script elements that link the page to the list and the table in that order. So it is important that we get the order right. Script source equals that. And we are going to defer these as well. I thought there was a way. Yep. Shift. Let me do that again. Shift, Alt, down will duplicate a line. Right. So quick way to copy and paste. Okay. So list, table in that order. If you don't do it in this order, our JavaScript that we're writing in table.js references the arrays in list. So if list is loaded secondly, our table JavaScript is going to reference arrays that don't exist yet. So that's why it's important to load list and then table. All right. Event list. Scroll down to the document directly after the closing end article. So I'm going to find that. There's end article directly after it. I'm going to add a div with an ID of event list. Make sure we get that capitalization correct. And that is where we are going to be building our table. And right now, if I come back and refresh, so this is the div for event list. And the CSS, told it to take up the space and put it off to the side and everything. Okay, let's see if this worked. Great. Look at that. We're already halfway done. Not really. Steps 3 and 4 are where all the magic happens. Okay, jump back over to table. And below the comment section, right here, declare a variable named this day equal to August 30th, 2018. So we have a new date variable, and I just want to check to see where am I testing variables and then for loop. Okay, so we did this this day, create a variable called table HTML. And that's going to include some text. So it's going to be our table tag, and then I can say table HTML plus equals. So we're going to add on to that caption. And again, table HTML plus equals this thing. All right, so semicolons at the end. We are building this table HTML, and it contains some HTML as such. So Lewis only wanted the page to list events occurring within 14 days after the current date. And in this case, current date is August 30th, 2018. So we're going to make a variable called end date, which is a date object 14 days after this day. So hint, use the new date object constructor insert a time that's equal to this. Great. I'm going to copy this as a big hint. Var end date equals new date. They tell us what the answer is there. Only at X star, right? Get the right multiplication symbol in there. Kind of tricky. And if you recall, we're going to validate this bit. All right. So now we're going to the next bit, which is to create a for loop that loops through the length of the event dates array. Use I as the counter variable. So I'm going to say for var I equals 0. So I'm defining what I is. I is going to be less than event dates dot length, and I gets incremented one at a time. So we're going to go through this. We're going to start at 0 and go all the way until one less than the length of the array, which is counting all the elements in the array, because remember, arrays start counting at 0. So within this, we're going to declare a variable called event date, which with the date stored in the I entry of the event dates array. So what we're doing is we're looking at July 29th, 2018, 11 a.m. That's in position 0, position 1, position 2, 3. So we're going to loop through this thing. And as we loop through this, we take this value and we put it into a new date constructor. So that gives us the event date. The event day is going to be the event date to date string. So var event day equals event date dot to date string. And similarly, var event time equals event date dot to locale time string. I did that, and then add an if statement that says, so I'm going to write this out, if something, do this stuff. Okay. To test whether this day is less than or equal to event date and something else. So it's going to be something and something else. At first, something is this day less than or equal to event date? And is event date greater than or equal to, less than or equal to end date? So event date is somewhere between this day and end date. And if that's the case, then we're going to add a row to our table. So it's going to be table HTML plus equals something. I'm going to take this and copy it a few times down. All right, because I know I'm going to need that time and time again. I'm going to need a row. I'm going to do the end row while I'm here just to make it easier on me. And then what we're going to do is we're going to show the event day at event time. But instead of event day, that word, we're actually going to put the variable event day in there. So I'm going to close my string, plus, that's the variable, plus, open a string, at, plus, that's the variable, plus, open the string. So we're putting all this together as one string. A string plus a variable plus a string plus a variable plus a string. All right, a little bit complicated because there's two variables in there. It gets easier with this next line where there is only one variable, which is the description. So what you can do is you can put the quote plus variable plus quote. And I'm going to take this line actually and copy it down and then just put the price right here. I can get it in there correctly. That's not doing anything. So this is adding on to the string. However, description doesn't even exist, right? Description is actually, so event day is this thing. Event time is this thing. But what is description? Description is the ith entry in event descriptions array. So my bad, that should be event descriptions I. And price comes from event prices I. Right, so again, the values of these arrays. So if you had event descriptions at spot 3, well, there's 0, 1, 2, sorry, that's 2, 3. And the price for classic cinema wings is 0, 1, 2, 3, $5. Okay. So we're just looping through, and if this is true, then we're going to add that row. Let's validate this. All right, great work. That was a quick validation. And then after the for loop, so right here, let me throw a bunch of lines of code in here, blank lines, add end HTML. So it's kind of like this, only end table. Okay, that's closing the table that we built in HTML. And then finally, we need to take this and we need to add it to the inner HTML in the page element with the ID event list. So document.get element by ID. We're looking for the thing called event list. And we're going to set the inner HTML of this to table HTML. All right, we did that. We haven't even looked at anything yet. I guess we can do that while this is loading. All right, so our page looks like this. And if we think about it, great, that test passed while we were back there. Today is August 30th, 2018. Not really, okay, but that's what we put into this. And we want to show all events that are between today and 2 weeks from now. So the first event that we have is August 30th, 2018. And, if we go back and we look, that makes sense because today's August 30th. We want to show only things that are, between with the event date is greater than or equal to today, which is this day, and less than or equal to event date. So we're going to show that event from August 31st and September 1st and September 2nd, et cetera, okay? We stop at September 12th, though, because the last event, September 13th, is more than 2 weeks away. But this is a pretty straightforward project. The biggest concept from this would be parallel arrays. Okay, so arrays that with a shared index, like the thing in index 8 has the event, date, description, and price are related. And then in our JavaScript here, we're just looping through that thing. And if it matches, we're going to add to the table. If it doesn't match, it doesn't add to the table. And it just loops through everything. So, yeah, that's really it. Like I said, a pretty quick one. Go ahead and submit that. And then you're done with T10.